comes along that sounds this good and looks this stunning, it really doesn't matter how it drives, you just want one. But the Alfa 4C is so much more than just a very pretty face. You see, under this flamboyant bodywork is a carbon fibre monocoque, a little bit like the one you might find on the McLaren 12C or the Porsche 918 Spider, and that, along with other weight-saving measures like these controversial naked front headlights, mean it weighs just 895 kilograms without fluids or passengers on board, and that's not very much at all. And as we all know, little weight leads to better fuel economy, sharper handling, and most of all, more fun. The styling and mid-engine layout are all straight from the supercar textbook, but the engine is a humble 4-cylinder turbo, taken from the Giulietta hatch, recast in aluminium and tuned up to 240 horsepower, which in a car that weighs this little is plenty. 0 to 62 takes 4.5 seconds and top speed is 160 miles an hour. And as you can hear, fitted with the optional sports exhaust, it sounds like an old race car from the 50s, especially from the outside. From the inside, you can hear the air intake sucking and snorting away. Unfortunately, it's not perfect, and that's all down to its main rival, of course, the mighty Porsche Cayman. It was always going to have a tough time matching that car's naturally aspirated 6-cylinder engine with the 4-cylinder turbo here, but it does a good job of it. On track, where you can keep the turbos lit up, it is absolutely ballistically fast. But here, on real roads, with real corners, throttle response, well, it could be a little crisper, and there's definite turbo lag you can feel there. It's the same story with the twin-clutch TCT gearbox, which can't quite match the reactions of Porsche's PDK. Upshifts, well, they're brutally fast, 130 milliseconds, but downshifts, when you want it to switch down as you're piling into a fast corner, well, it feels a little bit reluctant and doesn't do it quite quick enough. Okay, so I'll put those slight powertrain issues to one side for a moment and let's just focus on this chassis, because it really is a work of art. It's so incredibly stiff, you can just feel it from the get-go, and that means the turn-in is amazingly crisp and amazingly precise. There's tons and tons of grip, so you can just throw it around, do whatever you want with it in the corners. And the best bit is the steering. It's completely unassisted, there's no power steering system whatsoever, and it means it's just buzzing with feedback, which is quite a rarity in modern cars these days. The other thing is the ride. I mean, for a car like this, you'd expect every little bump to be transmitted through the bottom of your seat, but it isn't. It's really nice and smooth and flows beautifully. The only problem, well, the big problem really, I want a manual gearbox in here. This auto is all well and good, and yes, it's slightly faster around the track, but with a car this emotional, I want that connection to the driving experience, and it's not here. There's no stereo or aircon either, if you ask Alfa to delete them for free, that is. But there are 4 driving modes to choose from: dynamic, natural, all-weather and race. Unlike some supercars, race isn't too aggressive either and sharpens up the gearbox nicely. As for the interior quality, well, it can't match the Porsche Cayman, but the 4C's driving position is spot on, and the TFT instrument screen and exposed carbon fibre looks fantastic. But have Alfa done enough? Well, the answer is yes and no. I'll go with the bad news first, and that's that the 4C's powertrain isn't quite a match for the Porsche Cayman, which incidentally starts from around 5 grand less. But the 4C has some pretty significant talents that help make up the gap, notably the way it looks, the way it sounds, and the way it steers. Now, Alfa say they can only build 3,500 of these things a year because building the carbon fibre monocoque is so labour intensive. But I reckon if they can find a way to make more, they'll definitely sell them.